We're in Hadley, Massachusetts, in the back of the St. Brigid Cemetery. And of course, the back of almost any cemetery will have the hard luck stories of all. And remember, this is a very old cemetery that served 7 different communities around the area. The church itself is in Amherst. And we're looking at the Petit stone, all right? And Arthur Xavier Petit is the father. He died in the year 1919. And notice the date is December 28th. And at the very bottom it says Arthur Victor Petit. November 2nd, 1894 is his birth. Died in France, January 8th, 1919. Okay, and below is his wife, who died in 1984. So she lived almost 88 years, and he only lived for 25 years. And he died in France in that year. That means he was in World War I. He was with the American Expeditionary Forces, and he died during that war. But it was after the end of that war, because the war ended November 11th, 1918. He is dying January 8th, 1919. All right, and what had happened? He was on guard duty. He stayed there because they needed lots of men to stay and keep the peace and keep the security in France until it could stabilize itself. And he died from illnesses acquired. The barracks were very contagious places, and he died from a certain illness. His father would die the same year as him, and yet his wife would live a very long life. So, notice the names. Petit, that means he's from Quebec province. And in this cemetery, there's Quebec people, Irish people, and Polish people. Now, in the back, you always get the Potter's Field. The Potter's Field in this cemetery is towards the back left. There's a grouping of very old stones in the very back, and they were probably buried there under money donated from fraternal groups of the church or fraternal groups of the military. And notice the stones are very small in that corner, a couple of United States flags. But if you go back there, most of them are Polish, and that's to be expected because they were very, very poor coming over here. Now, the saddest story of all, Catholics do not allow non-baptized people to be buried inside of their cemetery. So in the very back here, there's a row with no stones at all. If you go back there, there's some flat stones, and they're all babies. But there should be hundreds of stones back there because baby coffins are very tiny. So the babies are buried in the back. That's a non-holy or non-consecrated part of the cemetery. They're buried there because they're just outside the limits of the holy part of the cemetery, and there are only children there. Some families have been able to afford their stones, most not. If you go back there, you won't see any old baby stones, but that's because there are plenty of old burials of babies back there. But back 100 years ago, they couldn't afford a stone. Thank you.